It amazes me how much we will chronically and low level suffer through for the rest of our lives sometimes, rather than to accept the acute pain and emotional discomfort that come from making corrections and transitioning from a not self life to an authentic self life. So we choose not to rock the boat, stay the course. These are the decisions you've made, now you have to deal with it. So there's little room or permission to allow ourselves to create something differently. Hi there, and welcome back to my channel. I am Dr. Kate Flynn, the Active Deconditioner. I guide human design generators through an active deconditioning of the not self so that they may end their suffering, come back into a place of self-love, and create a life they really enjoy. Today, we're going to talk about 3 reasons that you might start your human design experiment and then come to a hard stop where you decide it's not for you, or you slowly just start to shift your attention elsewhere. Before we do that, we're going to talk about the things that start to happen as you move through your human design experiment. The first being that your body becomes like a lie detector within you. Every decision you make, every drink you reach for, every food you put in your body, all of the things, your body is going to give you constant feedback. Especially true for generators, of course. You'll get that, I want that, or ooh, why are they doing this to me? I do not have the response to support the decisions that you are making. That's what happens when we start to shift our awareness from our thinking thoughts into the knowing of our body. With this, you start to come to the knowing that as you make decisions that are correct for you, those decisions are in turn correct for everyone around you. Not that they may be the decision that your friends, loved ones, family, whomever wants you to make, but you know that everyone benefits when you are true to who you are, when you show up authentically, and then you don't get yourself into sticky situations that you have to figure out how to get out of. You start to realize that you are motivated to follow the things that are going to bring you satisfaction if you're a generator, success if you're a projector, peace if you're a manifester, and so on. And you become very aware of when you're moving towards the not self signature, be it frustration, bitterness, or anger. And you start to realize you really want to follow the signature of the self and feel all of that good stuff, and you're not so inclined to follow the signature of the not self. So why would you potentially not want more of those things? As you move through your deconditioning, your human design experiment, you get more in touch with your body, you start to come to a tipping point. And you know that if you move beyond that tipping point, you're not going to be able to go back to your life the way it was before. You're going to have to make some pretty significant changes to bring your life into alignment with those things that are true and correct for you according to your design. And that can be an uncomfortable place to be. The things we're going to cover today are especially relevant if your life has not yet imploded. If things haven't blown up all over the place and your pieces aren't already up in the air, you're probably going to be more inclined to opt out before you come to that point. If your life's already imploded and you found human design, you're probably more amenable to all the gifts and wonderful things that human design has to offer. So the reasons you may choose to opt out of your experiment have nothing to do with it doesn't resonate with you, you don't feel like your chart is correct, or you don't see the value in it. The reasons we opt out have much more to do with what happens when we start to realize how many situations, relationships, career choices, decisions we've made in general that are incorrect, that we did not have the sacral motor energy there to support in the first place. And you'll get a very clear sense of how much pain you're going to cause for everyone involved when you start to disrupt those patterns, when you start to make changes to bring things into higher alignment. And because you don't want to hurt people and you're the one that entered into these things incorrectly, you're going to be like, well, I've made my bed and now I have to sleep in it. And that's just how it goes. It amazes me how much we will chronically and low level suffer through for the rest of our lives sometimes, rather than to accept the acute pain and emotional discomfort that come from making corrections and transitioning from a not self life to an authentic self life. So we choose not to rock the boat, stay the course. These are the decisions you've made, now you have to deal with it. So there's little room or permission to allow ourselves to create something differently. And then as we age, we'll blame all of our aches and pains and diseases on simply getting older, or failed diets, or hormones, or whatever that handy thing is that feels so real and is so in your face. Because what is actually happening is that we are being crushed by the weight of the not self. And the amount of energy the not self consumes to sustain itself is astronomical. And it leaves us exhausted with little energy and life force left to create our lives at all. The second reason you may choose to opt out of your human design experiment has to do with your mind and how attached it is to your story, to everything you've been through, to everything anybody has ever done to you, to those traumatic life events. It's very attached. And in turn, your mind has manifested the impacts of that story in your body. And it will not want you to, your mind will not want you to start making different choices and give those things up. If you can keep reaching for foods that are incorrect, drinks that are incorrect, taking pills that are incorrect, having surgeries that are incorrect, being in incorrect careers or relationships, then your mind doesn't have to give up attachment to the story. It gets to keep telling it over and over and over. And we really do become addicted to that biochemical milieu that happens when we tell the story over and over. So your becoming an internal lie detector is in direct opposition to what your mind wants from you. It's going to start to disrupt the status quo, and your mind is not going to be happy with that. The state of your false self has been your identity for your whole life, for decades, and the unknown associated with who you may become or who you're going to be without that story is slightly terrifying. The final reason you may choose to opt out or quit your human design experience has to do with the likelihood that you're going to try to take all of those traumatic experiences, all of those hard things you've been through head on. And you're going to start to try to heal from each individual thing that's happened to you. And this is going to further trigger your story, further make you think there's something wrong with you, and further make your path forward so much harder than it needs to be. It's going to be really painful. And sometimes when we get to that place, it's like, Uncle, I don't want to deal with that anymore. This is not fun. I'm not enjoying the process. So what is the point? It's going to exhaust you, and you're going to be put into this pattern where you're always looking for something to fix. This can put you on a really scary and dark path. And that reason number three alone is kind of my whole motivation behind creating this active deconditioning process. Because in it, you're focusing more on the outcome, the things you're experiencing that you're no longer wanting to experience, whether it's headaches or foot pain or, being terrified of making decisions. And we can kind of group all of the things that have happened to you that have led to that same thing, and we get rid of it by shifting the power source. You don't have to figure out all of those individual things. You can just say, oh, this is the area where my self energy is flowing out of me to fuel the not self, and I can shift that. I can reclaim that power back and let those things go without even having to understand what's all connected and related to that. So it really is a pathway to move forward, to decondition without triggering your story and without having to relive all of those things. So there are the 3 reasons that you're probably going to quit your HD experiment, maybe even before you fully get started. And maybe having conscious awareness of that, you can come into a place of acceptance and surrender and say, okay, yes, I get it. Thank you, mind, for all of your plentiful feedback. I'm going to put you in the back seat. I'm going to see what happens when I start living from my body and move forward from there. If any of this resonated with you and maybe you found yourself responding, then I would love to invite you to an active deconditioning session. I would be honored to guide you through this process and help you do it with ease and grace in a way that doesn't completely upend the life you've created as you transition more and more into your true and authentic self. So go ahead and click that book now link in the description below, and I will see you soon.